Hello there. Now, as I did Missing in Action, the original, why not? Why not the classic? Classic. Second one, Missing in Action 2. That's right, Missing in Action 2. Just bear with me one moment because I feel like I'm going in the fucking blue zone. Oh, it's too blue. Bear with me. Just something I'm doing. So you see a bit of a blue light, that's probably what it is, unless it's the way I am. Might be just me seeing things, but I just thought I saw a blue light. Let me know I look blue if people see me. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Mission in Action. Remember I did the original one? Why not? Mission in Action 2, as I meant to say. Yeah, Mission in Action 2. Starring my mate Chuck Norris as he plays his role as Bennett. That's right, Bennett. But this is one where I've got to say it's confusing. It's confusing because it's one of them I'm thinking to myself, is it a sequel or is it a prequel? Yeah, is it a sequel or is it a prequel? And for people that wonder what I'm on about from checking my lighting, it kind of reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. If people think, "Pete, they're different films." Well, in Raiders, and then when it got to Temple of Doom, that was before Raiders, meaning it was before 1936. When it did Temple of Doom, it was based on 1935. This, on the other hand, it starts off there, Bennett, and he's got his soldiers, and it's based on 1972. And they do so bits of Ronald Reagan making an announcement, a Vietnam, and how they went missing in action, and so on. It's also exposing on their helicopter. Chuck, as Bennett and his men have got to jump out, and the next thing you know, they're taxed. They're prisoners in camp, and they're being mistreated by one of the colonels, who's, I told us, is Vietnamese. Seen this guy before, and he isn't Vietnamese, he's Chinese. But he plays a Vietnamese, he's been in a few films, and he's competing with the evil. He is evil to these prisoners. So it's based on that era of Vietnam, and the prisoners always stopped me, it always surprised me, because when they got to the third one, they based it on 75, going on to the year when the film come out, 88. It's like I said on the last time I did this, the ultimate mindfuck. But it's always like that in the missing in action films. But do I class this one as being an action film? No, not really. Because in all fairness, it does have action in it, but I would see it being more of a prison camp film. That's like a prison camp film. Now, you've got two men, right, and they try to break out, and long below, they get killed. One gets a big spear in his back by a man trap, and another one gets burnt by a guy with a burn suit on. Brilliant stunt, really is a good stunt. But that's where the prisoners, they can't escape, they can't do anything. And this guy is barbaric with them. He is a fucking asshole with them. He got one big guy, and I think I've seen him before. He was a guy, I think, right, he was in with a Chuck Norris film. Remember An Eye for an Eye? He played with Chuck Norris in that. And he's in this as one of the men. And they really do mistreat him. You've got one of the men and he's dying, he's ill, he's got this thing wrong with his blood, and they won't help him until he signs a distition, if I can pronounce the word. Until he signs a distition, what the high up one, who've got these men as prisoners, meaning Bennett, to sign a petition. And he won't do it. He won't do it. Because he don't believe in it. There's bits in it that tried to break him, and they do use a lot of real torture scenes in this. What was used in the days of Vietnam for the men who was missing in action. I do know there was a making in the day, and if it's still on, it's either on Daily Emotion on YouTube. There was a making back in the day, which, funny enough, come out the same year as Rambo: First Blood Part 2. But this one I felt was more of a war film. You know what I mean, it's a prisoner camp film. You know, people say it's a spin-off of Rambo, and they do talk to Chuck a lot in this. They put a bag on his head. They line up this. I think it's a rat. Actually, yeah, it's a rat, and they're pointing it with sticks, stick a rat in a bag, and you got the idea it's biting his face. But Bennett, being a badass, bites the rat, kills it, and rightly so. There's a lot of blood on the bag, but hopefully he'll get out of it. I am hoping that he'll get out of it. He's got blood all over the bag and all over his face. I'm just hoping he gets out of it, but he does get out of it. And they do talk to him a lot. You've got the idea his wife wants to divorce Bennett, and he burns the letter because he doesn't sign and do what they want. He burned the fucking letter in front of him. I'm thinking, how fucking evil are they? But the bit in it where they're trying to do Russian Roulette, which kind of reminds me a bit of The Deer Hunter. Never seen The Deer Hunter? Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, where they do this done, and you find there's no bullet in it. So it's basically there's no bullet in it, and they do that a lot of the talks of them. There's one guy, he's a Rossi guy, and he's sneaking a toss, and they get hold of him because he's trying to. He tries to bluff them basically, saying, "Oh, I've got another army and all this," but he's always talking shit. So they get him. They do the done thing again. He's like, "Oh, it's fake. There's no bullets." And lo and behold, there is. And he blows the poor bastard's head off. Blows his brains out, I should say. But the bit what really, really is horrible is the bit where the mate's dying, right? And they need to save him. So they give him a injection that's going to help him because he's ill. And they think, oh, why? Because he's dying the finger. But they find out that all they're giving him is alcohol. It's alcohol. And they burn him alive. They make out he's dead. He's not dead. And they literally burn this poor man alive after getting poor Chuck Norris as Bennett to sign the agreement what he wanted. So basically, it's just what he wanted. He says to Chuck Norris all the way through the film, let's see who's the better man. So you think he's a fucking arsehole. This guy, in my eyes, is an arsehole. This guy's an arsehole. What he does to Bennett just sucks. And he sucks. But Bennett does get his own back at the end. He pretends to hang himself, gets out of that, and then that's when it becomes an action film. It becomes a sweet, sweet revenge film because he gets his men out, right? There's a bit where it buries one of the guys, they strip him naked in front of some Vietnamese prostitutes, and they just make fun of him. So you really do hate what the Vietnamese soldiers do to the poor soldiers. You hate them. But I love the way he gets out of it, Bennett. He does meet one of his mates, because halfway through the film, one of the mates got away. But he goes in, shoots them all, blows them all up, sweet fucking revenge. There's one guy you think's a traitor who betrayed all of his mates, but he doesn't. Rightly so, and I've seen him before. He paid in Jason Goes to Hell. But he gets killed, but he does save his men. Oh, burping. But he just saved his men, as I meant to say. But I love it. I just love the fact that halfway through the film, that's when the action kicks in. And you do get an epic fight with my mate Bennett, played by Chuck Norris. And he kicks the shit out of the guy. Kicks the shit out of him. I don't know if he fakes his death, but Chuck's not stupid. Batters him. Says, now we'll see who's the better man. And then blows the fucker up. He blows him up, and I love it. I love it because it's a revenge film at the end. It starts off as a prison film. It gets a bit action-packed at the end. Gets his sweet revenge, blows him up. They get in the helicopter, and they fly off. And I love it. To me, that is a top film. Is it a sequel? Is it a prequel? A bit of both. I say it's a sequel, but I'd also say it's a prequel because it was before how it all started. So this one, like the first one, I task is more of an action film. I task this one being more of a prequel. But other than that, that's Missing in Action 2, The Beginning. It's not a bad one, and I'll do more movies on the way into them. I'll see you soon.